Thank you for joining us again and welcome back to our channel. If you are joining for the first time, we always appreciate your time. Madagascar, like I said, is the recent France's embarrassment in the continent of Africa. Madagascar is an example, like one of those countries across the Sahel. Previously, before we see the re-emergence of the countries of the Sahel, Madagascar is an embarrassment for the continent of Africa. It's a disgrace regards to the current geopolitical issue happening in the country, and one country's name keeps coming up, and that is France. The system that France spread out across the continent of Africa, especially in French speaking, is an embarrassment. The truth is coming out. Like I said, the particular situation happening at the moment, if it's a system built for the elites, built for a number of people to exploit, extort, corruption, and a whole lot of things in the country of Madagascar in this case, it's not coming from all of a sudden. It is something that came out from the colonial perspective, and the officials in Madagascar, as the president at the moment, is running away from the country. No, he shouldn't run. He should face the youth. Like I've always said, that a system that is built to favor a few would always collapse. That's what is happening in the country of Madagascar. And news media said he was helped by the country of France's military to escape the country. How embarrassing is it? Why France's name kept coming up? France had a rotten system installed in a number of these countries across the continent of Africa. It is a system that has to be uprooted. I'm talking about, you know how to uproot something, to kind of remove the roots. You have to pull it out. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. So France's embarrassment is all over the place at the moment. It's a dirty system that the country installed into these former colonies, and the leaders at the moment are continuing to use this system to impoverish the people. Look at the Madagascar's economy. It's nothing to write home about. Embarrassment, higher rate of unemployment, no jobs, lack of infrastructural development, growth, lack of better hospitals, economic frustration, youth coming out from university. So it's a rotten system that was cultivated during the colonial period, and the president is running. I think he should face the current challenges in the countries of Madagascar, and the lawmakers are coming out to basically lambast the voting to impeach or to expel the president. They too should be held responsible because a number of them are members of that particular clique. To have more context on this, while we go into more perspective, let's first of all go to Aljazeera, who basically give us an insight regards to the current situation in the past 24 hours. Make no mistake, this situation continues to evolve, and the story is developing as we see. So the president is running away to hide somewhere else. Some say he's gone to reunion, but France should be ashamed to get involved again. This is a situation that people have been talking about, France's role in the continent of Africa, to have its military. That's the reason why Senegal, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Guinea, Chad, you name the rest, have asked France's troops to leave their territory so these countries can deal with their own internal issue. How shameful is it? Let's go to Al Jazeera first. We will come to DWTV Germany in a moment. Let's play this clip.
Okay, well, breaking news out of Madagascar. The army has taken control of the country, and lawmakers in the National Assembly have voted to impeach the president. The military says it will dissolve all institutions except the lower house of parliament. It comes after Ange Rajwalin fled to what he calls a secure location following weeks of unrest. Demonstrations led by young people have lasted for weeks over corruption and a lack of basic services. Well, Famida Miller joins us now from the capital, Antananarivo. And can you just, first of all, Famida, bring us up to speed with what is happening? Because this is happening and changing very, very quickly, isn't it?
It certainly is, and I want to explain where we are. We're just outside the presidential palace, and that is where a colonel, a short while ago, a senior member of CAPSAT, that's elite military unit, the Colonel Mikhail Ranijinina, he had said that they have taken power and that they are in control. Now, our understanding at this point is that, of course, is unconstitutional and would be termed a coup. At the same time, we've also just come from the Parliament, the National Assembly, where they have voted to impeach President André Rajoelina. There was one abstention in that vote, but certainly an overwhelming majority saying that he should be impeached for a number of reasons, including abuse of office, the use of state funds. There were a litany of reasons behind this impeachment, but certainly coming at a time when we've seen protests in Madagascar, specifically the capital, sometimes turning violent. But I have to point out, while that vote has taken place in Parliament, it now gets referred to the High Constitutional Court, and the members of that court then decide what to do. And we have been told by the opposition that it is very likely the High Constitutional Court will pass this motion, will endorse it. What is supposed to happen, though, at this point is that the President of the Senate would become the new president. But that is not certain at this point. And when we asked the opposition leader who was leading these proceedings in Parliament who would become the next president, he wouldn't answer that question, saying we would have to wait. So it's clear that there are a lot of uncertainties at the moment.
So you think running away solves the problem? And if you are a genuine president, if you are a leader who've led your people to growth, development, advancement, economic fundamentals are strong, the money borrowed from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF or International Finance Corporation and other global financial institutions, if the finances, the money was put into effective use for the youth, for those who need it, for job creation, economic strength, new opportunities, innovation, growth, infrastructure, reconstruction, new hospitals, new facility, medical development. All this would not have happened. So, but if you have a system that was built from the colonial past that is ingrained in massive corruption, massive extortion, and lack of economic fundamental development of the country, and then the president had a backup that once things goes wrong, is going to run to France for help. This goes a long way to talk about why the France Afrique has been an embarrassment for the continent of Africa, and African countries should basically end these ties at the moment, because what's happening in Madagascar is not something that's happened overnight. It has been in the pipeline for quite some time. Look at the universities pouring out students who had no particular future. And the president is eating fat with its own particular cohorts of ministers. And you expect the students, and later you call them lazy, because the government has no particular focus on how to change the economic situation in the country. Let's play this clip.
Yeah, it sounds like that is a very large understatement at this point for me. This all started with Gen Z protesters rising up and taking to the street. So have we got any sense of how they feel about the army now taking control of the country?
Many of the protesters we've spoken to in the last few days have just wanted the president out. That is their key focus. But many of them have also not looked beyond that. Many of them responding positively to the developments so far, which essentially comes from a place of anything is better than the president, because of how in these 16 years he has not delivered. This is what they have said. We also look back to the initial installation of Rajoelina as president in Madagascar 16 years ago. It's the same CAPSAT, this military unit that in a coup brought him to power. And now it appears the very same unit is now pushing him out. We are not certain of where the president is. He did address Malagasy's people from Madagascar in a Facebook Live on Monday night, saying he's in an undisclosed location for his own safety, for his protection, not confirming that he has left Madagascar. However, our sources have said that he has left the country. People here, though, at this point, are not necessarily concerned with his, what we would call his disappearance at this point. Very much happy that he is no longer running Madagascar, even though following this vote in Parliament, there is no president of Madagascar at the moment.
Okay, thank you so much for all of that, Famida. We will be keeping a very close eye on the fast-moving developments there. Famida Miller for us in Antananarivo.
Africa, it comes at a time when governments like these, who thought that they could have cover from a colonial partner that has subjugated them, that implanted into them some particular unsuccessful economic plans, that they store their billions of US dollars into their own treasury, and they decide to have their militaries in those countries. So when things like this come up, because the presidents don't work for the good of the people of Madagascar, the leaders don't work for the good of the people of Madagascar, the geostrategic partners around the world are observing this particular situation and events in the country of Madagascar. Look at Madagascar, one of the leading countries talking about vanilla exports and a whole lot of important aspects in this current age. Countries are looking for opportunities to invest into the youths, to invest into the infrastructural development, to create jobs that will enable the economy to be sustainable. Look at a small country that cannot figure out itself so far. So when this happens, the president runs to France to help him to escape to the country or to escape from the country. And then we have to applaud France for doing that. It is disgraceful. And the president of Madagascar should be ashamed of himself, because he, first of all, had no particular policy to remove Madagascar from this disastrous situation that it finds itself. And African countries at the moment, those who think that by having foreign military in your territory to help you in cases like this to run out from the country, from the youths and the nationals who are looking for survivor, you should be embarrassed with what is happening in the country of Madagascar. Let's play this clip.
An elite unit of Madagascar's military says it has taken charge of the country after lawmakers voted to impeach the embattled president, Hans Radswelna. He fled the country on Sunday after parts of the military joined anti-government protests, and he has refused to step down. The youth-led protests started over almost 3 weeks ago and have resulted in deadly clashes with security forces. They're being fueled by public anger over water and power outages and alleged corruption. I spoke earlier to Gaëlle Borja. She's a journalist in Madagascar's capital, Antananarivo, and I asked her to tell us what more she knew about the military takeover.
Exactly, that just happened. They came to the presidential palace and they said, we dissolve the Senate, we dissolve the High Constitutional Court, and we take over. So the power is ours now. That's what they just said. And it happened just after the National Assembly voted for President Radswelna's impeachment. So it seems like it was coordinated. So first there was this National Assembly vote, and then the military from Capsat came to the presidential palace to make their announcement.
We can see pictures of packed streets. You've been out there. What is the mood like among demonstrators?
The protests are very different from the last few weeks, because now there is no longer gendarmerie barricades to block the protesters, so they are able to gather freely. It takes place in a very peaceful way. They are chanting, they are waving flags, they can express their demands freely. And the major the major demand is asking for President Radwan to resign immediately. So they say they're going to keep protesting until the president announces his resignation.
So what Madagascar is experiencing at the moment is not going to be one-off, because an example of, I hear the media saying that he's not resigned, he's just basically run away. I think if you run away, you leave the four borders of your country, then you shouldn't be allowed to come back in the nation, because he hasn't produced the results that the people elected him for. Madagascar has been a total global embarrassment. Look at the economy, look at the per capita income, look at the GDP of Madagascar. It is tumbling. It's not going anywhere. Look at the local economy in Madagascar, the job creation, the private sector. It's nothing to write home about. And this is basically a warning call for countries across the region who feel that at this critical time in Africa's own transition, that they still feel comfortable to go closer to partners who offer zero contribution. They go closer to partners who offers no significant economic fundamentals. They go closer to partners who offer no particular perspective regards to looking for opportunities. And I feel Madagascar's France's partnership is the most huge blunder in Africa's own geopolitical collaboration. The president of Madagascar should be embarrassed, he should be ashamed, and I think that the officials, the parliamentarians in the country of Madagascar themselves, a number of them must have contributed into this, because when things were going wrong, they never make any particular decision until the youths of the country of Madagascar got it right here, and they have to make the tough call. Let's play this clip.
The president, we hear, has left the country. Do we know where he is?
It's a very good question. Everyone is asking that since Sunday. According to some of our sources here, he left the country on Sunday thanks to the French military. He took a military flight on Sunday and went to La Réunion Island, and then he went to Dubai. He arrived in Dubai on Monday, but now we don't know where he is. He made a speech, a television speech yesterday, but he didn't tell the population where he is now. He just said he had to flee for his own security because there were a murder attempt on his person.
What would you say would be the next steps? I mean, is there a clear path out of this situation?
It's very difficult to say. There is a lot of confusion. So the MPs voted for his impeachment, but the question is their vote legal? It has to be validated by the High Constitutional Court. But then we just heard that Cap military dissolved the High Constitutional Court. So we are here in a jurisdictional confusion. We don't know if this vote was legal. We don't know about this military announcement at the presidential palace. The president didn't say he resigned. So, he is still in power legally, but so it's very difficult to say. So we have to wait for the next day to know exactly what's going to happen.
So obviously a very fluid situation. We'll leave it there. But Gail Borja, thank you so much for joining us and updating us on the situation.
Thank you for watching. I'll be looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Let me know in the comment section what you think regards to the reason why Madagascar at the moment is beginning to learn that the world is not what it used to be. And at the moment, the African youths are beginning to look at and benchmarking their governments and officials as to what is happening. For now, I'll be looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.